I think that the care homes have been, of course, what happened in care homes was tragic, and but we did everything we could to protect the NHS, to minimise transmission, with the knowledge that we had. One thing that we did not know at the beginning of the pandemic, and don't forget this, we did not know at the beginning of the pandemic quite the way in which the virus could be transmitted asymptomatically, and that was one of the reasons that we had some of the problems that we saw in care homes. But what we're doing now is trying obviously to protect all residents in all care homes. I think they've all had vaccines up to 99 if not 100%, and that's the crucial thing.
Well, let's remind you again of some of the most explosive claims made by Dominic Cummings during more than 7 hours of evidence. He said the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, lied and should have been fired 20 times over, including for criminal, disgraceful behaviour relating to his target for 100,000 tests a day. Well, as you've been hearing, he said it was complete nonsense when the government claimed that a protective shield was put around care homes, and said that he personally heard the widely reported comments by the Prime Minister that he would rather let the bodies pile high than have a third lockdown. And he suggested that the list of mistakes made meant tens of thousands of people died who didn't need to die. Well, our political editor, Beth Rigby, joins me now. Beth, in terms of what we've heard from Matt Hancock this morning, has he answered those questions, those allegations that Dominic Cummings made yesterday?
Well, I think, Jane, the first thing to say was he was very robust in saying that he wasn't a liar, that he had been straight with people. That was his message in the Commons. But I think it's true to say as well that when he was asked by a series of MPs a detailed questions surrounding Mr. Cummings' allegations. You remember one of the main ones was that he had claimed that Mr. Hancock had said in March that there was a plan to deal with testing in care homes, and for the Prime Minister to find out in April that that hadn't been the case, that people hadn't been tested before they were discharged. And in terms of the actual detailed questioning, I think that Mr. Hancock was kind of ducking specific allegations, and he kept just saying that many of the allegations were unsubstantiated. I should also say that Jeremy Hunt, the former Health Secretary, former leadership contender, and now the chair of the Health Select Committee, also made the point in the House that until there is substantial evidence to back up Mr. Cummings' claims, that they are, as it stands, unproven. And I think what you saw in the Commons today was an attempt by Conservative MPs certainly to rally round and back the Health Secretary after what was an extremely uncomfortable evidence session for him from Mr. Cummings yesterday.
Beth, what about the Prime Minister? You know, do you get the sense that he does have confidence in Matt Hancock?
Well, it was interesting in terms of that Paul clip, that interview with the Prime Minister, because a journalist did say to him, do you have full confidence? And he just carried on with his answer about care homes. Now, I should stress that the government has said that they have full confidence in Matt Hancock, but the Prime Minister didn't actually explicitly answer that question when he was asked. It was almost like he was in the moment of answering another question on care homes. But in that, in what he said, I have the transcript here in terms of what the Prime Minister said earlier. He was asked about Mr. Cummings telling the truth. Did Mr. Cummings tell the truth? The Prime Minister said, I'm getting on with delivering the roadmap. That's his dodge. You're not arguing with what Mr. Cummings said, with the things he said. And the Prime Minister says, I make no comment on that. He was also asked whether tens of thousands of people died who didn't need to die because of the Prime Minister's action or inaction. The Prime Minister said, I don't think so. And then he also said it had been an incredible, difficult series of decisions. He said, I hope people do understand this, that when you go into lockdown, it's a very, very painful, traumatic thing for people. So he didn't specifically go toe-to-toe, doesn't want to engage directly with Mr. Cummings. He wants to just not comment on it. He wants to keep the focus on the vaccine programme, on his roadmap. He doesn't want to get drawn into he said, she said rows. But the fact is that Boris Johnson, whatever you think of Dominic Cummings, whether you think he's a credible witness or not, the Prime Minister put Dominic Cummings at the heart of his operation in Number 10 for 18 months. And whether the Prime Minister likes it or not now that Dominic Cummings is very publicly turning on him, his testimony cannot be discounted because the Prime Minister gave him that power and put him in the front and centre stage of events.